Hey guys, we're Tim and Katie, and we spent the last 7 months converting this 2020 Ford Transit.
Today we're going to give you a full tour and show you some of our favorite features that we put into this van. This van features undermount air conditioning, heated floors, recirculating shower, and custom cabinetry throughout. Solar panels, powerful alternator charging, and optional shore power fuel a 600 amp-hour lithium-ion battery bank, allowing us to run all of our electrical appliances with ease off-grid. Come inside and check it out. As you can see, we chose to have a fixed bed, a fixed dinette, and a fixed shower in our van. It was very important to us to have a large kitchen area, so we built this large base cabinet. The top is made of butcher block, and then the base cabinet is all made out of Baltic birch. As you can see in our design, we created an angled entrance here, and that makes for ease of entry and exit out of the van, just because this is also the narrowest part of the van, seeing that the shower is here. We originally had it as a square piece or rectangular piece, and we just found it really hard to get in and out, and we just kept hitting our legs, so we redid the whole thing and came up with this design, and we're really pleased with it. We chose the Kraus 15 by 20 stainless steel sink. We found it great because it's very deep and it fits all of our dishes and our pots and pans in there very easily. And then we also have this Kraus faucet with the extendable nozzle that we can use outside to rinse stuff off, and we also actually use this to fill our recirculating shower. More about that in a bit. Next to the faucet, we recessed our illuminated water pump switch, so we never forget to leave it on, or never forget to turn it off before we leave the van. And we also have our soap there. In this van, we installed a 20-gallon gray water tank, which is under the driver's side of the van. So that frees up a lot of space under the sink, and we use that for our garbage and other storage. Moving down the kitchen, we have our 12-volt fridge. So this is the NovaCool R4500. It has a lot of fridge space and a small freezer up top. We find it's really good at regulating the temperature, and we have tons of room in the fridge, like I said. The freezer is quite small, so if you're looking for things like big tubs of ice cream, you may have to look for another model. On the countertop here, we have an Impava dual burner induction cooktop. As you've noticed by now, we don't have any propane in the van, and that's because we didn't want to have to worry about another fuel source that we have to just take care of. And we have a large lithium battery bank, so we find it has enough power to power all of our needs in the van. To maximize use of this area on the cabinet in particular, we chose to do a push to open pantry design here. So it's got 3 levels, and we find that it stores our spices and our canned goods very well. Some people get concerned about push to open drawer slides in their vans because when you turn a sharp corner, sometimes the weight shifts backwards and then the drawer slides open. But this time we bought really heavy duty push to open ones, so you have to put a bit of weight into it to actually get it to open, and we haven't had any issue with it opening on the road. Under the sink here is our garbage, our fire extinguisher, and our little broom. Other storage in the base cabinet we have is our cutlery drawer here with a custom divider that holds all of our utensils in place. And then more utensils. This one's a little bit deeper and also holds like our saran wrap and cooking goods. This deep drawer has all of our snacks, cereal, crackers, granola bars, things like that. And then the bottom one has our pots and pans. These big drawers have RV latches, 10-pound RV latches, which prevent them from opening when we're going down the road. Finally, the kitchen area, we have 2 overhead cabinets. Each has their own gas strut and RV slam latches. This is where we keep our Tupperwares and our plates and bowls. Moving on to the upper cabinets of this side of the van, we have 4 in total. First one has electronics. Then we have toiletries. And then we have Tim's stuff and my stuff. As you can see, we really prioritized having a lot of storage space in this van, and that's just to prevent clutter from accumulating everywhere. Obviously that is impossible to fully do, but at least we know everything has a home and there is space for it, at least somewhere in the van.
Just as an overview, we built this van with 4 seasons in mind, particularly with us living in Canada. We used 1-inch XPS foam board on the floor for insulation and Havelock wool on the ceiling and walls. Havelock wool can be tricky to find in Canada, but we got ours from Performance House in Alberta. For framing, we secured 3/4-inch plywood to the walls using cross nuts, and then we built all of the cabinets ourselves using Baltic birch. The subfloor is also 3/4-inch plywood, and the flooring itself is sheet vinyl. Moving on to the recirculating shower, we went with the 24 by 32 inch shower pan and the Nautilus shower door. It is retractable. And then we used sheet vinyl flooring for the walls, and obviously it's super light and waterproof, and we like the look of it. The recirculating shower requires roughly 3 gallons of water, so it's great for saving energy and water in the van. So to fill the shower, we bring the sink faucet directly across the hull of the van and input it right into the pan. We turn the pump on, and when the water starts coming out of the shower head, we know the loop is full and shut off the faucet. We are fortunate with our van layout that this bench seat can hold all of the components for the recirculating shower, and that makes it easy to switch out and clean the filters when needed as well. If you'd like to know more information about the recirculating shower, check out the links below for our ebook and our other YouTube videos on that.
At the back of the van here, we have our bed. It is an RV queen, so it's a little bit shorter than a regular queen, but it is 6'3" in total from bump out to bump out. As you can see, we did build those into the van. The edges of the bump out also allow us to have our switches for a lot of the overhead lighting, as well as the heated floor and the LED strips. A bonus that we have in this van as well is air conditioning, and those vents are also on either side of the bump out, so we get nice cold air at night if it's quite warm. Tim is 6'2" and he can sleep comfortably here. I'm 5'7", so I don't have much of an issue anyways, but we like this design and we feel like it allows us to maximize the living space of the van versus sleeping lengthwise. This is the head of the bed, and we didn't put any overhead cabinets just to avoid hitting our heads when we are sitting up and laying down in bed. As you can see, we have the CRL half bunk slider windows at the head of the bed and at the foot of the bed. At night, we do crack these open and have our MaxxAir fan going, and that just allows circulation to occur and to minimize condensation on the windows. I'll show you guys some of the controls that we have on the rear of the bump out and also at the front of the bump out. So back here, we have the switch for the overhead lights. As you can see, it is on a dimmer. It's actually a 3-way switch, so you can control it from the kitchen area, but at night, we can control it from here and actually dim them down. So first thing in the morning and also before we go to bed, it's not blaring right in our eyes. Then we have chargers for our phones. So you just switch that outlet on and it's ready to charge. There's also a 12-volt charging port right there that you can plug into. At the front of the bump out here, we have the AC vent. So you can either have it fully open or closed. And then this is for the LED bump out lights. This switch is for the heated floors. And then here we have a switch for more USB charging. This switch is for the 12-volt heated floor in our center walkway area. We chose to put it right by the bed because we can flick it on in the morning, and then when we get up 5 minutes later, the floor is pretty warm and you can walk all over it. It's also really nice when you get out of the shower to have a nice warm floor to step onto.
Next up, we have the dinette area, and we put a ton of work into this floating table. We really like that you can just swing your legs in and out and not worry about catching it on anything. Size-wise, Katie and I can both fit comfortably or sit comfortably here with full-size dinner plates, and we can both work on our laptops, but if we were going to do that more regularly, I would just rather set something up at the passenger swivel seat and have one person here, one person over there, just for a little extra space. The cushions on the dinette here are custom made by Katie's mom, Elizabeth, so huge shout out to Elizabeth and thank you. Also, there's a lot going on under each of the bench seats. So on this side, there is an air conditioning vent down under here, so basically if you're hot in the summer, you want to sit in that seat there. It's a great spot. And then also under this bench seat is our pull-out toilet. We went with the Dometic 970 series cassette toilet, and the drawers mounted on 250-pound drawer slides. And then if you're over 250 pounds, the front of the drawer just takes some of the weight for you. And our idea with it was that, sure, if the van is private and empty, you could use the toilet here, but it's also easily removable so that you could lift it out, put it in the shower, use it there, and bring it back. And to us, ideally, you use facilities outside of the van as much as you can, but it's really nice to have it if you do need it. Lastly, we have some hidden storage underneath the dinette. This floor lifts off, and then you could store laptops or valuables, whatever you want under here. And it's also nice because you could access the wiring if there's ever an issue or if you want to add something down the road. Now, my favorite part of the van, the control panel. So if we were going to use the recirculating shower, basically what we would do is come and turn the pump and the UV light on. Then we would turn the inverter on, and we can select how long we want the hot water tank to heat up for. So we normally just put it on for 15 or we'll say 30 minutes, and we know that it'll be completely hot. If we're making breakfast or we're outside of the van and we come back, the hot water tank will be warm and the shower ready to go. At the top here we have our GoPower 3000 watt inverter charger remote. So it just allows you to turn the inverter and the charger on and off and to monitor your current draw and the voltage. Next we have the Seamarine Pico system, and we installed the 500 amp shunt and the ST107 tank monitoring device. So what that allows us to do is monitor the current draw of the batteries, the current charge, and the voltage. Next we have our gray water and freshwater tank level senders hooked up to this unit, which is really nice. You can even set up an alarm, so if your gray water gets to 90% full, it'll set off an alarm and you know to dump it. I added a few temperature sensors throughout the van, so we have one on the outside, exterior, interior, and one back at the battery bank, and you can monitor that all through the Seamarine system. Then we also have the Seamarine inclinometer, which looks at pitch and roll. And I find these really handy because I have the app on my phone. So if you're parking somewhere and you're not exactly sure if it's level or your partner isn't there to help you out, you could just pull out your phone and look at the exact pitch and roll on there. And it's nice to be able to monitor the tank levels and the battery level, everything remotely. We have this connected to our router in the van. And so as long as you're on that Wi-Fi network, you can look at all this stuff on your phone. I did a ton of research before choosing this system, and I'm really happy with it. So I actually reached out to the company and they gave us a 5% off discount code. So it is TimandKatie5, and that'll be in the description below. This is the thermostat for a 12-volt undermount air conditioning unit, and the brand that I went with is Undermount AC or ProAir. It's the same unit. And I've been happy with the power draw and how it's working so far. On the high setting, it pulls around 80 amps at 12 volt, and on the low setting, it's around 50 amps. So if the air conditioner was on low, we didn't have any solar or anything else going, with our 600 amps of battery, we could roughly run it for 11 or 12 hours. It's a mini split unit, so that means the condenser and compressor are mounted under the van, and then the evaporator's inside. And we like that because it's a bit more efficient than the rooftop ones, and it saves extra space on the roof for our deck for storage, or if we wanted to go full solar on the roof, we could still do that. So I just turned the air conditioner on and you can hear how powerful it is. Basically it's 16,000 BTU on the high setting, and I believe 12,000 BTU on the low setting. Just want to take a second and ask that if you're enjoying this video, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. We put a ton of effort into these van builds and obviously enjoy sharing all the details with you. We've got lots more videos coming soon about how we did all the different little aspects. So now let's get back to the tour. Here we have the remote switch for our electronic ball valve on the 20-gallon gray water tank. So it's quite nice if you look on here and you see the gray water tank is full. You can go to an appropriate location, hook up the hose, and just push this, and you hear the valve start to open and drain it remotely. And it's nice because as long as the light's illuminated, you won't forget that the gray water tank is open and draining. So if obviously you're somewhere that the water should not be running out, then that should be off. Finally, we have the Webasto multi-controller here, and this controls our Webasto that we installed under the passenger seat. The vent comes out right here, and it taps into the Ford Transit fuel tank.
When using a gas heater, it's really important that you have a carbon monoxide detector in the van, so we keep ours in the headliner shelf right there. We also keep our bear spray, bug spray, sunscreen, things like that in the bin here, and as you can see, all of our magnetic window covers are up here. The shelf itself is from Vancillery, and we covered it and cut it ourselves, and it creates a lot of open storage, and it's really easy to access everything up here. You'll also notice that we have a rod and a curtain, and we close this every night, tuck it in here, and that helps to keep privacy in the van when all the lights are on and it's dark outside. We installed the Scopema swivel onto the passenger seat, allowing us to turn it around when we're parked somewhere for a while. We find it really opens up the space, and as Tim mentioned earlier, when we're both working on laptops, sometimes it's more comfortable to work in this area versus both being at the dinette. I made these custom window covers for all of the windows in the van. They're made out of ripstop material and stuffed with Havelock wool and a layer of Easy Cool. Around the perimeter, I sewed in rare earth magnets, and that helps to keep them really nice and strong in place. We find that they really help to regulate the temperature of the van, so whether it's cold outside or whether it's hot, it helps to keep it pretty steady in here. The back side is the Easy Cool, and that's what points out, and then the inside is the Havelock Wool portion. To store them, we fold them up like little accordions. And just pop them up there while we drive.
Now we're at the back of the van, and just to orientate you here, we have all of our electrical on this side, and on this side we have our 34-gallon freshwater tank, and in front of it our air conditioning evaporator unit and storage above that. On the outside of this water tank portion, we have a quick release for an outdoor shower, and that is cold water only, just like the sink. And then we have our fill port for the water tank here. So with this outdoor shower, I found some quick connect fittings that allow you just to hook it onto the end of your shower hose. Really easy, just snaps on like that. And then we have a suction cup mount that goes on the window here, and the shower head can sit right on there. So we love this idea for, you know, maybe if you're into surfing or mountain biking, anything like that, where you don't necessarily need a hot shower at the end of the van, you just want to rinse off with fresh water. I think this is a great way to go. In order to avoid getting the bedding and everything back here wet, we just either pass the wand through and put the suction cup on the outside of the window, or open the door fully so it's on the edge of the van, and then hook the suction cup here. So if we slide this open, you can see we have our 34-gallon freshwater tank well secured to the van. We have a little bit of extra storage up here, and nice access to the plumbing and the drain valve for the tank if you need to winterize it. Coming over to this side, we have our GFCI 110 volt outlet, a switch for the garage lights, and then a vent for the 3000 watt inverter right here. Now just coming into the electrical cabinet here. So we have the 3000 watt Go Power inverter charger. And then on this van, we went with Voltium 300 amp hour lithium phosphate batteries. So we went with 2 of them for 600 amp hour total at 12 volt. I was picky on which battery we were going to go with, and I was really impressed with Voltium. I like that they use large prismatic cells and a really well-reviewed BMS. Over here, we went with the Renogy Rover charge controller for 5 100-watt panels on the roof, and the Blue Sea fuse block. And then in the corner here, we went with the CTEK SmartPass 120S and D250 SE chargers to charge off the alternator. And we've been really happy with this setup, because it gives us roughly 120 amp charging anytime we're driving the van. It's huge because it allows the batteries to charge really quickly anytime you're driving. And we're fortunate that the Ford Transit has a 250 amp alternator, so it has more than enough power for us to draw back to the batteries. Here I made a custom box to house my heated floor thermostats. So the top one is on a switch up at the bed, and that's for the main hallway heating pad. And then this bottom one corresponds to heating pads under the lithium batteries and under the freshwater tank at the back here. And that's just so that ideally, if we want to go to a ski hill or something where it's really cold, you can flip this switch and you don't have to worry about your lithium battery or your freshwater tank freezing. There's one more thermostat that's located under the front bench seat by the shower, and that controls a heating pad under the gray water tank, and that just keeps the gray water tank from freezing in cold temperatures. Back on the passenger side of the van, you can see we recessed in this mesh vent for the evaporator unit. So if we open this up, here's the 12 volt air conditioning evaporator unit, and then the ducting comes up into the walls and throughout the van. And then we made this little box for lots of extra storage. As you probably know, you can never have enough storage in a van. It's also nice because we can still access our water pump, our shutoffs, and all of our lines and hoses back in here if there was ever any issue. So in terms of things we added to the exterior of the van, we did put in the slider window and the bunk windows on each side, as well as the rear cargo door windows. Then for the tires, we upgraded to the BFG KO2s, and I believe these are the biggest you can go without trimming the pinch weld. So these are the 245/75 R16s. Obviously on 16-inch rims, and we went with the Black Rhino mid-hills in gunmetal gray. Now I'll show you the roof rack. We just use an extendable ladder to get up on the roof, and we store it behind the driver's seat. The main reason we like the extendable ladder is just that it deters people from trying to come up on the roof, much more so than if we have a built-in ladder fixed on the side of the van. Now up on the roof here, we have 5 100-watt solar panels, our MaxxAir fan, and in front of it, the Parsec Collie antenna for our Wi-Fi cellular router. At the back here, we went with composite fascia for our little deck storage area. Our supports are quite close together, which allowed us to use fascia rather than composite decking, and it's nice because it's much lighter and thinner as well. These boards could always be removed and 3 more solar panels could be added for a total of 800 watts if you preferred. But we do like the deck for occasionally coming and sitting up here, but also largely for storing stuff. We find it's really nice if you want to strap your paddle boards or anything else that can stay outside. It's nice to just have it up here. The roof rack itself is made out of aluminum angle and square tubing. I designed it and had a local fabricator make it for us. At the front of the shower here, we installed an Epic off-grid router, and that connects to the Parsec Collie antenna on the roof. So this allows us to plug in a data or hotspot SIM card into the router and get high-speed internet in the van. When I tested it, speeds were roughly 60 to 80 megabytes per second, and it was great because you could connect to it with multiple devices and all share that high-speed internet. This was another product that I was really happy with, and I reached out to them and they hooked us up with a 10% off discount code. It's Trio Transit. Link is in the description below if you're interested. That's it, guys. We hope you enjoyed this van tour.
We're fortunate enough to have a 2022 Ford Transit waiting at home for us, so let us know in the comments below if you have any suggestions on how to modify or add to our future builds.
Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.